a phenomenal, he's like my backbone, you know, when things are going haywire, you know, he's kind of the person to say, don't forget, God got everything under control.
Right.
Did you forget?
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
so
Right.
my foundation is knowing that God is faithful.
Oh, yeah.
He is definitely faithful, and it's okay to trust him.
Right.
It's okay to not know what tomorrow's going to hold.
And to let go.
And to let go.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, one of the things when I go through my trials and tribulations, one of the things I always remember, my sister, as you know, my older sister passed away.
Yeah.
Her last words to me, she said, "Lee, if you're going to pray, don't worry."
Yeah,
but, you know,
that's right.
don't worry
That's right.
if you're going to pray. You know,
Right.
it was always, you know, either you're going to pray and don't worry, or you're going to
Right.
not worry and pray. I mean,
Right.
either you got to do one or the other. But let me just transition real quickly about this modeling, because, you know, we see you on the runway, and I've been honored to see you in many different cities across the country,
Yeah.
and you're on the runway, and then moving up to your role as the commentator
Yeah.
for the world-renowned Ebony Fashion
Yeah.
Fair, you know. How difficult, what made you get into this whole modeling, and how difficult was it to break into?
You know what, it's funny because modeling is so much fun, but it's a lot of hard work, and I think that that's the side that people kind of, you know, miss. It is a lot of fun, but I can remember, and I talk about this in my book, I remember laying across the bed as a young girl, my grandmother's bed, and she would collect Jet magazines on her bed. So and I don't know why, and it would be like off to the side, and just, you know, Jet magazines, Ebony magazines, and I would be flipping through them, and I just remember, and I remember it as if it was yesterday.
Right.
And I saw these beautiful black men and women, and I thought, oh Lord, I want to do that. I want to do that right there. Never even thinking in a million years that I would have the opportunity. Never even thinking that. But in the book, you know, I said, you know, I told my grandmother, that's what I want to do right there. I want to do that. And then she said, you know what, you'd be the prettiest little thing, prettiest little model on the road. And
your grandmother was very wise.
And my grandmother, you know, my grandfather kind of gave me a little confidence. And then years later, you know, my mom enrolled me into a very prominent modeling school in San Francisco, because that's where I'm from.
Right.
And did that for a little while, and then kind of put it on the back burner because I like to talk. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Well, you know, Jada, I really didn't notice that. You know, I want to get through another 50 questions, but no, actually, but it's up close, and we want to know.
Yeah,
so
I
this
do.
is your show.
I like to talk, and so I started taking speech classes and interned at a radio station, and went to school for broadcast journalism, and so that's really what I thought my Emerson, and I also went to.
See, my researchers were on top of their game.
Exactly.
Right.
And it wasn't really modeling at first, but because, you know, I was 5'11" at an adolescent age, you know, I was really tall, not just, you know, like a little tall, but like super tall, like towering over people, and then very thin, and it just worked. You know, the modeling thing just kind of fell in my lap, and but I always really wanted to go into broadcasting. So then I ended up sending my pictures in to Ebony Fashion Fair, and they gave me a call, and it was just really a phenomenal. The rest is history. And then I never thought that I would be able to kind of merge the broadcasting, commentating, speaking with fashion. I have a dream job. Yes. I really do.
Now, you know, because like one year I saw you modeling and you doing your thing on the runway, and then all of a sudden the next year, you know, I go to a show, I think it was in, I can't remember where it was, Pittsburgh, somewhere in the Midwest, and I go to a show, and the next thing I know, you are up there doing your thing as the commentator.
And it happened that fast.
Yeah, how did that transition, you know? Because you do model a little bit when you come out, because you be changing some clothes.
I do. And you know, and that's great too, because I can still model. I work the runway, and then I go and sit in my chair and talk. You know, it just works out.
Without any notes, by the way. How do you do that?
Not originally. That memory kicks in, and then after a while, it's just rolling. But I love what I do, so it makes it easy. It really does.
Well, Ebony's very fortunate to have you. I mean, now, you know, a lot of people watching this kind of up close and personal, and they're like, I want to be like Jada, you know, like forget about Mike. I want to be like Jada, you know, and, and they're looking at you and they're looking at your beauty. And then now they're starting to feel like this woman actually is she's not only beautiful, but she's written a book. You know, she has some goals, some long-term goals. I mean, talk to us a little bit about some of that stuff. Don't be holding back now. You're going to be doing some conferences with Inspire Magazine.
Exactly. And I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it because I have a message. And people, you know, because I say this all the time, people see me in the magazines and they see, they open Ebony and they go, oh, that's Jada. Right. And I love that. But there's something, there's a weightier part of me that's not just the glamour and the beauty. I just really believe that God called me to be a witness and a testimony of His goodness, and to also encourage other young women. That's just my passion. And obviously, that's me, you know, kind of venturing into the vein of being an author. That's very important to me. Being a strong inspirational speaker. You know, I just, you know, I will go and speak to a group of young girls in a heartbeat because I believe I have something that will help them and benefit them for their future. I just believe that God has given me the gift to bless other people, and that's my passion. Oh, yeah. And again, that's where the conference, the BU conference is coming in. You know, we're inviting young girls and women and men from all over the United States. Love too. Yeah, you need love too. That's where my husband comes in, you see. But yeah, and we're just inspiring people, you know, be you. It's okay. Let's just, you know, be who God created you to be. We're wanting to bring in some, you know, some heavy hitting entertainers for that. And we're going to have workshops on, we are going to have like etiquette workshops where we focus on hair, makeup, fitness, and nutrition. But then we're also going, on the flip side of that, we're also going to have that internal, you know, deal with the inner man as well. You know, we're going to deal with why, you know, women, you know, the jealousy thing between women. Why do we deal with that? We'll save that for later, right?
Yeah, we don't want to go there with the jealousy.
Why do we deal with that? But there are going to be all kinds of workshops that we have, and to just, you know, deal with some of the things that we face as women and men in this last generation. Sure. Yeah.
Well, Jada, you know what I would like to do is I want to take a break. Okay. And what I want to do is to go meet your husband. I think he's in the theater chilling out, watching a movie while we going through all these cameras around, and he's just chilling. But Ernest is my man, and I really want to rap to him because I know it's tough on him because he in his own right is a musician and is doing some great stuff. Absolutely. And talking about a man of God. I mean, he's on fire for the Lord. And when we come back, we're going to take a walk and deal with something that's kind of personal. Okay? Let's do that. Now, Jada, I know that this is probably a very difficult question to ask, and actually it makes me a little angry to even have to address this with you. Molestation, you know, that word seems to be pretty dominant and prominent in America right now, and, you know, we look at you and we look at all the glamour, as we talked about earlier, but you've had some issues with molestation.
I have, and it's really kind of funny because only in the last 5 years, that's when I really started to deal with it, and didn't realize that all of the years before that I've had all of these other issues kind of spring forth from that particular issue. But obviously, without going into the details, I was probably molested most of my childhood. Wow. And it was really, really difficult. But as I started to travel, I started to meet other young girls and women who have gone through the same thing. Right. And a lot of times you don't know how to place your emotions. Sure. And it runs really deep. You start to feel angry, frustrated. You have that sense of abandonment at the same time. And dealing with a lot of issues that are really tough for a child to deal with. But when you start to mature and you go through adolescence and then you go into young adulthood, into adulthood, you have kind of this aftermath that takes place which has been really difficult for me to deal with. And being, you know, in the public eye a lot of times, I wanted to mask that. I wanted to pretend that it didn't happen. But when I got married, it forced me to have to deal with those issues.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
I know you mentioned you don't want to really go into it, but when you talk about up close